Chintos is back. Recently leaving Alpha X. Looking for a team, so honestly, just pick him up. This guy is amazing, such an incredible player, so fun to watch, a fan favorite. Can't wait to see what he brings into the future. I'm not putting enough pressure on this because honestly, this is just a Reaper proxy. This has been happening so much lately. Sometimes it's one Reaper, sometimes it's two Reapers. It's never something deadly, it's never something super aggressive. Most likely GUMIHO is just gonna build the factory at home. Knowing it's GUMIHO, maybe more than one factory at home. So I wouldn't be too afraid of that. This is much different. And take notes, because this is a very tough location to scout. You usually don't want to walk through here. There's rocks, so this is not even the optimal pattern, with this being the easiest way back home. So this can be interesting. It's a Stargate, of course, very close to GUMIHO's base. On the other side, the Reaper already got a kill on a probe. Of course, Classic slowing down a little bit his build back home. To have a pylon on the map, which is going to be immediately scouted by GUMIHO, by the way. This Reaper knows exactly what is up. Classic, not the best reflexes to answer this, but there's no way out for the Reaper. Yeah, that will chase it out, will get a kill. And, oh! This is starting to get messy. The probe is going back home. The Stargate not really getting anything out yet. There's one Oracle. But on the other side, GUMIHO with a Starport proxy and Concussive Shells Marauders. GUMIHO feels confident about the little tiny bits of damage he caused and wants to double it up, wants to stop this Nexus yet again and try to deal some damage into the main base. There's a Cyclone back home for defense. Oracle about to spawn, the double adepts ready to go up the wall. Well, up the ramp and meet the wall of GUMIHO. Not a real way through. There's no natural for GUMIHO, who's a little bit on the aggressive side. And Classic will get good amount of scouting information out of this as well. The Oracle waiting for the right time to chime in. Classic is probably thinking, do I want to use the energy or not? Medivac meanwhile on the other side, ready to collect all 4 Marauders. Get straight into the main. Here they go, Concussive Shells Marauders. And they're making short work of the probes, which are turning into the fight. Marauder scouting backwards, and that's the moment when the Classics Oracles chime in. That's gonna be some real damage. That one Cyclone didn't fare that great against the double Oracles, but so is everything from Classic on the other side of the map. Both players losing so much. Over here though, it does look like the FCBs have retreated into a corner, waiting for the Oracles to finish their energy, and that's exactly what happens. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, all of the Marauders still alive. There's no more energy on this Medivac, but GUMIHO is playing this like it is a 10 warp prison. 24 probes down, 4 to go. The Marauders may not be really healthy, but oh my god, GUMIHO is dodging every single shot he can with these bad boys over here. One Marauder against 2 adepts. All the probes have gone down bar 1. All the Marauders are still alive. GUMIHO dodging shots like it's an everyday's business. What a game by the Mech King. In the bottom right hand corner, playing for Storm Gaming, is the Mech King himself, leading the series 1-0. It's GUMIHO. His opponent on the top left instead, trying to get the equalizer with some cheesiness in the middle of the map. Let's give it up for Classic. Alright. No pylon back home. This is not a max specs. This is a proxy gateway. Could easily be a free gate as well. We are going to see in a little while, probably expecting a Zealot at least to slow down GUMIHO a little bit. Not by much, just a little. GUMIHO decided not to go for the Proxy Rex with the Reaper. Just gonna have a old-fashioned Wolf on the ramp as early as possible. Probo's gonna try to be a little bit obnoxious, prompting us to believe that Classy doesn't really care to add more stuff into this proxy. Back home, second pylon is already up. Waiting for the gateway to finish. Pop down a cybernetic core. And this is the moment of truth. Yes, there's a Zealot in the making. But are we going to see a free-gate proxy? Because this definitely looks like the perfect setup for this. And there's also a big point to state over here. This is not exactly a location you can run away from. It's gonna go for a second Zealot, which is decent. And not getting minerals for a Nexus, already a big tell. As I was saying, this is not exactly a location you can get away from. It's easily scouted. Gonna add a Stargate over here. Huh. Of course, having a shield barrier back home to keep these probes healthy. There is no way out. If you lose that position, you're probably gonna lose the game by having a little bit less production than you anticipated, and this is going to be immediately scouted, of course. Easy to scout. The Stargate is already going up. There's only one pylon over here. Two Zealots hiding, waiting for the right moment to strike. GUMIHO knows that he has to keep the Reaper back home to try and deal as much damage as possible onto those Zealots. Bunker is going up, but will it go up actually? A second SCV is gonna put up into work to try and get something done. The Zealots will try to hack down the supply depot, but tons of SCVs are gonna be put into repair duty, up repairing the damage that these Zealots are dealing. The Marine will go down, the Reaper is still standing, and this bunker barely finishes. The SCV barely staying alive. A second Stalker will join the fray, but the Oracle is gonna be the big part of this. A bit of a meat grinder being put up by GUMIHO, lifting up the supply depot. Factory is up and coming. After we had a little bit of a free Rex ongoing for GUMIHO to answer this play by Classic. The Reaper is making its way through the map, but of course there's a shield barrier over here. It's gonna be a long time before you can out-damage that. The Oracle has made its way into the main. It barely survives the Marines. 16 health. This one Oracle, a second one is ready to chime in, but there's so many racks out there. You're probably never going past those. 3 SCVs have gone down, but at this stage, yes, this is what I wanted to see. 2 more gateways added into the mix. A little bit more commitment on the side of Classic to try and deal as much damage as possible. A second Oracle will stay unanswered for a little bit too long. 2 SCVs are gonna go down. The Stalkers are making their way back home to answer the Reaper best they can. But Fruit are transferring into the natural. The same cannot be said for GUMIHO, who's still pinned in his own main base. Even though there's only actually going to be 4 Oracles. I was kinda certain Classic would have stopped at 3. 2 gateways are about to complete. Another pylon gets added into the mix here in the natural. There's no space for that orbital command, with Classic still patrolling the area. Sis's were going up as well. 2 Sis's were actually to stop anything from coming out of this base and helping these Stalkers get backwards as long as they deem it necessary. GUMIHO ready to get a drop. Ongoing, 2 Medivacs about to pop out. There's already so much bio in this main base. I don't think I like Classic position anymore. Terran can be easy to sustain on just one base, if it's just one base against 2 bases, especially against Protoss, which tend to rely on big explosions of production to have a strong army, or upgrades such as Blink, which is not available yet, by the way. Twilight Council is about to finish, and then Blink still takes a long time before being done. The Medivacs are unloading over here into the main, and just now Classic will see this. Recall is most certainly going to be the call over here for Classic, but not before he loses so much of his own main base. It looks like the Oracles are going to be recalled as well, immediately activating their Pulsar Beam. But 6 probes will go down, and not much of the army of GUMIHO is lost. Now the pylon is under threat, and that's the end of the proxy of Classic, losing an important offensive position. Especially losing tech with a Stargate going down. Yes, you have 4 Oracles, but does he still have 4 Oracles? How many Oracles are still alive? Oh, just the 2 actually. 2 Oracles went down in that fight. They're still doing quite a ton of damage though. Like overall, there's been quite significant damage from Classic from these Oracles. And they're gonna go still into the main and still deal damage. Pulsar Beam activation is about to finish with no more energy available. Actually, there's still a little bit of energy. Still more things can go down. 3, 2, 1, and that's the end of it. 9 SCVs going down over here on the other side of the map. GUMIHO getting very aggressive, building up a concave, and these Stalkers cannot do much without shield batteries, without blink. It does look like Classic is beating a little bit more than he could chew. Shield battery overcharge gets activated, but can he buy enough time for blink to finish? The tank is about to go down. SCVs are gonna put to repair U-duty, and they're gonna repair it back to the full health. There's nothing left between GUMIHO and the natural of Classic. More Stalkers are gonna be added into mix, but there's no tech, there's no production. GUMIHO falls Classic once again. It's a little bit more complicated to go mech in TVP compared to TVZ, of course, but you know GUMIHO. He's never too afraid to drop down 3 factories and go at it. But will take the long way to scout to check for the proxy Rex, which will not happen. Not that it is a big deal, but GUMIHO has shown us a very good transition into an aggressive proxy. Rex will finish. Very good scouting by Classic, but that's the extent of what this probe can do. GUMIHO will also see the second pylon. So we're off to a standard start this time on. Whatever, Classic. Just deny everything I say every single time. We have a proxy pylon in a very awkward location. I wouldn't really call this a Stargate location. It is a Stargate, but it's complicated to scout, I guess. Like, it's not even that complicated to scout, to be honest with you. It's still on its way to one of the fastest paths towards the other side of the map. Definitely the fastest if you decide to go off of this cliff and go down here. Not the fastest to just get... Ooh. GUMIHO is kind of just flinching left and right instead of actually committing this Reaper to scout somewhere. It turns out the decision of Classic is absolutely beautiful. GUMIHO scouts for a Stargate in the most obvious location, over here, which is where you will place a proxy Stargate, being so close to your opponent's natural. And surprise, Oracles are on their way on the other side. Cassie Shell's Marauders though, gonna try to make life hell for Classic. By the way, I completely missed Cassie Shell's finishing. Here in the main base, the Reaper is gonna be chased down by the Adept. It's the time of the Oracle though. Gonna find something in the natural over here. A fresh mule to snipe alongside a couple of these SCBs. Over here, there's 3 Adepts to counter the Marauders. They're not doing a great job at it. 8 probes will go down with the Reaper still going at it, collecting his second kill of the game. On the other side though, the Oracles still the Oracle, sorry. Still dealing damage. There's Widow Mines being placed around, but the second Oracle will start to get even more damage. And the worker count is considering mule basically the same. Oracle will bring the fight to some of the Marines, getting one kill, almost getting a second one. Energy finishes before it can get another kill on another SCV. The water sits still for now. The Oracles trying to recover their energy. Ooh! Dirty placement on this Widow Mine. Very well hidden. Yeah, that's making their way over here, trying to get on the wall. Oh, they're gonna get just in the jaws of the storm. And here goes another shot. Ooh, these Widow Mines are just not forgiving. A little bit of a betrayer shot. Hitting on the SCVs, but not dealing enough damage to justify the move by Classic. Left with one single Oracle still alive. That's not doing fine as well. There's one medivac on the field already. The Oracle will finally get away over here. Gonna stop this armor from going out for a little while longer, but there's so many SCVs already out. They use the steam, they're not at the Alpheus. Combat shields is still in the makings. On the other side, Blink just now starts. This location is going to be so absurdly complicated to hold. And GUMIHO is just going to fly above it to scout it. While the rest of his army is moving forward, and Classy doesn't really have a lot to defend with 4 more gateways are in the makings, close to being finished. There's one shield battery up the ramp, a robotics facility is in the makings as well. But GUMIHO could deal some outstanding amounts of damage. Over here into the main, here go the Widow Mines. Reactions are good enough on the side of Classic, saving as many probes as possible. Over here a single Marine will be kept killing this pylon and stopping the proxy altogether. Widow Mines trying to drop down a shot, they fail to do so. There's the armory up for the Terran player, so these Widow Mine over here will stay hidden, and I want to keep a close look at it. Revelation gets popped, and Classic makes short work of it. GUMIHO not pushing forward too much. Link is about to be finished. Looks like GUMIHO will lose the sweet spot, but he also acknowledges the risk of an aggressive play. The Classic constantly producing units at a very surprising rate. In a position he was looking not that great in. Charges halfway through. Robotics Bay almost completed as well. Classic about to get some AoE damage through. It's one door out for some reasons. I guess it can be good against Oracles? Are there still Oracles? Yes, there's one. It's pretty surprising, I'm not going to lie. It has a lot of micro potential. That's basically it. Being an armor unit, it takes bonus damage from the Stalkers, which are the bulk of the Protoss army in the early game. I don't know, it's less vulnerable to Blink Stalkers. That's definitely it. I don't really see much from this tool. Does look like GUMIHO is not afraid to move out. A scan to check what is going on the other side of the map. His army is moving fast, reinforcements are already joining. His main forces, a scan will see the army of Classic trying to get in a good position. It's not the greatest position. sieging up. Over here on the right side, GUMIHO waiting for move forward. Oh! Yeah, the Colossi are not faring fine, but Vikings are just better at these guys. Like, Thors can be fun and all, but Vikings are just better at it. Very good position being taken by GUMIHO. Decent pre-splits to defend his tanks as well, expecting a blink forward from his opponent. It's not like he has to deal outstanding amounts of damage right now, he's just abusing a moment in the game in which he's probably stronger than his opponent. His +2 is a little bit slower, while +2 ground weapons is about to be finished for Classic, and Classic is probably waiting for the right moment to just move his units in. For now, he's just not afraid to do much. There's one SCV over here, dropping down missile turrets. GUMIHO setting up a little bit of a chessboard with these stalemate. And Zealots trying to go around for us around. There's one single Marine waiting for that moment to happen. Ground weapons +2 is about to be completed. A bunch of Marauders steaming forward to try and deal with as many units as possible. Meanwhile, over here on the left side, it does look like a bunch of Zealots has sneaked through. And GUMIHO will probably be found with his banks down. I don't see many units being retreated in this location to defend, and tons of SCVs are bound to go down. These Zealots are completely unanswered by GUMIHO. There's a bunch of Marines, but that's definitely not enough. Much more of the army needs to be committed into this. And after a while, it does look like GUMIHO will retreat to save his SCVs, but over here more Zealots are about to strike. They can charge on top of another stranded platoon of Marine and Marauders. Over here, the rest of the army of GUMIHO is getting into position. It does look like Classic did not want to commit into this location. The lack of observers, due to the missile turret being there, means that it's complicated to see what you are going to face, but these Zealots are still going at it. And they're absolutely annihilating whatever they find on their way. Another platoon of reinforcements will be completely destroyed. 14 SCVs will go down, and the third base of GUMIHO is just history by now. A move forward by the Colossi and the Stalkers will also mean that all the siege units of GUMIHO will be broken, and only a bunch of Bio is left over here fighting against 3 Colossi, and that is never good news. Classic takes game number 3. Again, I'm not expecting much more than just one single Reaper or maybe 2 out of this. It's the good old Proxy Rex, which has suddenly begun to be the standard strategy, a standard opener. Just like Clash opener for Zerg, it never ceased to amaze me how after... How long has Legacy of the Void been going for? 6 years, I think? 2016, I think? Or maybe 17, I don't remember precisely. And people still find new strategies. Like, new openers. It may look like a little deal, a small deal, but it makes a difference. Even though it turns out to be insignificant, like after the 10 minutes mark, it can make small differences in the first 5 to 10 minutes. We've seen it in the series, for example. In the first game, GUMIHO did deal quite some damage with the Proxy Reaper with 0 commitment, and he decided to double it up by the information he got by being so proactive, seeing no second pylon. Not seeing the second pylon, he knew there was something on the map that probably there was a Stargate and it was hard to react for his opponent, so concussing Marauders just closed the deal. Over here, GUMIHO, we see him being a little bit more aggressive. A third Reaper is incoming as well, with a bunker, soon to go up over here in this natural. The Adept is trying to chase around this Reaper. Oh, but yeah, the bunker will not complete. It's not the biggest of deals. Just losing an SCV for free is not the best, I guess. The Adept will fail to get a third shot onto the Reaper. A second SCV will be put into business, trying to get to work onto that bunker, but a very bad timing on the side of GUMIHO will make him lose a Reaper and the SCV to the single Adept. Now there's a Stalker out, so there's no real way this bunker will ever go up. GUMIHO will probably just cancel it. There's another Reaper incoming, there's aliens on the way. Bunker will be cancelled. There's a Stargate incoming for Classic, ready to get something going on the map himself. Starport on the way for GUMIHO as well. Let me see this tech lab. A tech lab next to the factory could be a cyclone. Could be used just for the Rex to get steam ongoing. Could be used for Banshees, but I mean, Banshees are not the greatest in this matchup. Oh, double expand. That is interesting from GUMIHO. He's taking the pocket natural, which is the clear difference we have on Moondance. But this is what I like to call an half base, with only 6 mineral patches instead of the usual 8 being so 12 SCV saturation base and a single geyser, bringing the total to 15 against the 22 of a normal base. And having half the Vespene production out of a single command center that is still the same amount of commitment tends to hurt a little in the early game. Of course, Terran is not a race that relies on the 6 Vespene geysers early on as much as other races. But for example, if you're playing Zerg and you don't want to all in with Roaches, you never take the pocket base. You want to take the 2 Vespene geysers over here. At least one if you want to go for Hydras, and then soon to be another because you want to rush high for Lurkers. And if you go Spire, man, you need the 6 Vespene geysers. There's no escaping that. Over here on the other side, we see Classic take this base as well. Again, unless you want to go for Phoenix Colossi, you're not gonna need more than 5 Vespene geysers. So Classic is gonna stay on these 5 until he has a second Robo, most likely, for these Raptors to become a thing. While GUMIHO is gonna stay on this until he needs the Ghosts. It's gonna be Banshee, a little bit on the later side. Don't think we're going to see Banshee speed. We see a second Banshee in the making, with Cloak almost completed. There's a Robo out, there's not many observers. I think there's not a single observer out. Yeah, there's not a single observer out. Relation gets popped, spotting the small army that GUMIHO keeps stationed over here. Banshee Cloak about to be finished. Where are the Banshees, by the way? One is over here. There's the other. Oh, it is still moving in front of me. Banshee does indeed cloak. There's one Phoenix in the skies, but there's no observer. The Oracle is on the other side of the map, and yes, this is one of the biggest reasons why this base is not really the best. It's so vulnerable to sky attacks. It's basically dead air space that you need to cover, so it's kind of terrible. The Banshee will be out of energy very soon, but even if it's not out of energy, will just be chased down by the Phoenixes after a well-placed revelation. 4 probes go down, and not much more can happen. Honestly, 7. Banshee in the main will get a couple more kills, bringing it all to 8, and honestly this is more than I was expecting out of these Banshees. I was expecting way less damage. Another command center bringing the total to 4. GUMIHO going the greedy way, trying to stay as defensive as possible on his free base array using his pocket base as a defensive position. And we see the double armory and of course last one vehicle, weapons and plating well hidden in the back of the main. 4 SCVs will go down to the Phoenixes. Fleet beacon incoming. We see the first quote-unquote explosion of factories. We're gonna be bringing the total to 3 anytime soon. Tons and tons of tanks already on the field. Classic needs to spot these tanks to acknowledge this is going to be mech. Otherwise, the early game is basically undistinguishable. Even though the Banshees were kind of late, so you kind of expect some kind of tech switch. It's honestly complicated to make these kind of guesses. Especially since mech is not exactly the most used strategy in this matchup. There's one missile turret, but there's so much scouting information for Classic. Seeing everything that is happening in the main base of GUMIHO, losing only one single Phoenix. Oh, actually the Oracle. Did he lose the Oracle? Oh no, he lost just one Phoenix. Where's the Oracle? Oh, just chilling back home. Phoenix still sharking around. But the carrier's time has begun. Of course, doors are amazing against carriers most of the time, so until you get to a very sweet spot, which comes a little bit later in the game than you would expect, GUMIHO's going to be fine attacking into his opponent, especially with these many Vikings out. Very good guesses by GUMIHO. The Phoenixes are still going around. 10 SCVs have been killed. There is smooth harassment. Where are these Phoenixes escaping though? Definitely not taking the right route out. The scan makes GUMIHO see everything that is happening over here. He sees the fleet beacon, he sees the 2 stargates, and he also knows what they're producing, by the way. He knows these are carriers in the makings that are flying around, of course, to see Phoenixes moving over here on the right side. The army of Classic is significantly stronger than one of his opponents, if it wasn't for GUMIHO's insane defensive possibilities. In a field fight, you beat this army, but if you attack into this location, you're never going through the tanks and the Vikings, especially with the dead airspace over here. +1 air attack has been finished by Classic, with GUMIHO taking +2/+2 vehicle, plating, and weapons, and swift servos for Thors, Vikings alike. But of course, Classic is putting down shield battery over here to keep his units as healthy as possible. These Vikings are one-shot in stop, but once Tempests are out, the same could be said for the artillery units of GUMIHO, who's now moving in with blue flame aliens right into the fur base of Classic. Tempests will be scouted. Carriers will deal with this, but how else would you want to spend your minerals? 5 probes will go down, GUMIHO will call these a day, and will keep on producing Thors and Vikings. Tempests are out though, with their upgrade soon to be finished as well. I need to learn the name of that upgrade. I always forget. It's so rare. Here comes the anti-armor missile, not hitting the jackpot at all. These Vikings can definitely not commit. The Tempests do have enough range to keep the Raven at bay, and now there's shield battery out to try and make this location even less defensible for GUMIHO. Classic trying to bring the fight to the face of his opponent. The Tempest especially trying to bring down these missile turrets. The scanner gets popped forward to help these tanks slow down the advance of Classic. Classic will try to keep the Vikings count as low as possible. All the Vikings are very, very hurt. Now these Tempests hurt like a truck on these missile turrets. You can see them dealing crazy amount of damage to everything armored, siege down. Look at them go. Range is as big as usual, and on the low ground these structures immediately fall to their shots. Carriers moving forward. Of course, these stores are gonna deal outstanding amount of damage to the Sky Army of Classic, but it does look like Classic has got into the sweet spot, and this is looking so complicated for GUMIHO to deal with. The Thors are making a good job at keeping Classic at bay, but so many more shield barriers are incoming. 4 more Tempests. Classic about to be maxed out. The last 2 air weapons incoming for the Protoss player. These Vikings not high enough in numbers to one-shot the Tempest, and the Tempest will always have the first shot. Easily being healed back to full by the shield batteries. On the other side of the map, Hellbats with Blue Flame will try to bring down this base. A little platoon of army will be moved, actually just the Tempest, will be moved to deal with these Hellbats with their outstanding damage, as you can see. Not really the fastest, but Hellbats will get into these other bases. That's one shield battery though. Not much can happen. And in the end, the Phoenixes will lift the Hellbats up to the Stalkers to finish the job. We're at a little bit of a stalemate. Both players maxed out GUMIHO trying to outmaneuver Classic with blue Flame Hellions and Hellbats. Will deal quite some damage, but now that Thors are high enough in numbers, you can see these carriers falling down so easily to both Vikings and Thors alike. But over here, these Thors not really making short work of the Interceptors, and many of them are going to go down without really bringing the fight to the face of Classic. These carriers are still alive, not a lot of Interceptors up in the skies anymore. The Vikings can come in clutch to try and deal with whatever is left. The Tempests do not deal enough damage fast enough, meaning lots and lots of carriers will go down. A devastating fight on both sides. Now the SCVs are going to be put into repair duty, but there's enough Tempest to one-shot a Thor, which is crazy damage. There's not enough Vikings to chase down these last few carriers. There's only 2 Thors on the low ground, and there's enough Tempest to just move forward. Classic. Another decisive maneuver. Another stalemate broken by the Protoss player. These Thors do not survive a single volley. Yes, Tempests are going down, but the carriers have recovered their Interceptors, and now the production of GUMIHO is under threat. Classic. That's the equalizer. Still decently looking for proxies. This time GUMIHO will decide to keep his Rex back home. This is an awkward map for one reason and one reason only. Navigating through the middle, it's an absolute nightmare. Side blockers, ramp towards high ground, rocks and then a ramp, a very tiny bridge with rocks, and of course this big pillar in the middle of nowhere that you can just maneuver your army around, especially with tanks for Terran or Colossi. Going into air, it's a very good choice most of the times. GUMIHO will trap this probe into his main base. I think the players decided not to go for... Well, never mind. That's what I get for not making the lobbies, I guess. Yeah, we're not gonna know how many workers die. We'll have to manually check every single time. But yeah, it's okay. No WCS, no Story Cup 20 on this map. I guess. Stuff happens. We'll get some scouting information, we'll be graded by that, we'll go out. That's TVP standard openers for you. Twilight Council pop down. We need to see these Stalkers blink around. Well, the Adept of course is coloring both the entrances for this Reaper. It's 2 Reapers out, actually going to be a 3rd one. Helen incoming. The free Reaper opener looks like going to be a favorite for GUMIHO. I don't really see the real reason for this. It's decent, I guess, but as soon as playing becomes a thing, it's not really that great. It just slows you down everything you do by a ton, and Blink Stalkers will always get value anyway. He goes 2 Workers Guild. It's basically the extent of what these 2 Reapers can do. I don't really envision any more damage out of this. With 2 islands, this can be a little bit more deadly. Classic will need to maneuver around. He loses the Adept, refusing to shade around. There's 2 of the Stalkers out right now, so the Cyclones will be made easily short work with. 2 more probes will go down before the Stalkers will shoo GUMIHO away. Yes, it's 4 probe skill. Actually, it's 6. Come on. It's much better than I was envisioning. Not gonna lie. Stalker will try to move forward, propelled by the grenade. will not get in range of these Reapers moving out of the way. Banshee is incoming, of course. Banshee is always very good when it comes to low unit count early games for Terran. Since Banshee stay consistently useful throughout the game if you keep them alive, to deal more damage later on. Or you can just sacrifice them to deal damage. Not the best in the matchup, but it's gonna be a while before there's observers stationed in Banshee spawning locations. Not long enough, but still a while. Reapers will see the fur base of Classic going up. Blink is about to be finished. So we're moving up. Not really in the right position though, with a Banshee moving over here. This is not going to be a saturated base anytime soon. While over here there's already an observer waiting for any airstrike. Do the Banshees have cloak? They don't really even have cloak yet. Yeah, the Banshee will just see the Stalkers, move out of the way, be content with it. There's 4 Stalkers over here, ready to blink around. Oh, a little bit of lag. Ready to blink around to catch any moving units. Here in the main, there's one single Stalker already waiting for these Reapers, which are still getting valued, much like the Banshees. I wasn't really expecting this. Explosion of gateways from Classic. Banshee will move in and just realize there's no way you can commit. And move out again. Of course, Classic will always need to stay mindful about that Banshee being able to deal damage whenever GUMIHO decides to make a move for it. You can see maneuvering around here is so complicated. Its 2 Marines are gonna be stationed there forever. GUMIHO trying to take control of the map will actually move forward with his full might, trap 1 Stalker, which will get some scouting information. One will be cancelled over here on the right side, leaving the Banshee to be still an annoyance, a thorn in the side of Classic. Seeing forward and the beautiful force fields to stop these Marines from getting too much done. The Mediocs will move forward. A scan will be used to check the army position of Classic, which is in a decent position. There's a lot of Immortals out. The tanks are sieged in the choke point. 2 more force fields will not stop the army of GUMIHO from moving forward. Over here on the high ground, Classic kiting backwards, while GUMIHO is fighting outside the range of his tanks. That's 4 tanks. That's basically the most important part of your army. And fighting outside of their range is an absolute deadly mistake. GUMIHO trying to leapfrog at least one of its tanks. Sieging up in a forward position, of course, committing units into this concave. Not the greatest idea. Classic setting up Zealots on the right side and Immortals on the left side. The force fields will trap a little bit of army, while over here it comes a flank. Zealots on the right, Zealots on the back, and GUMIHO is forced to collect whatever he can and move out of there. The Banshee, meanwhile, was also cleared. How many? It didn't kill a single worker. Yeah, GUMIHO definitely failing to deal any real damage in this stage. We haven't seen a single key unit fall down for Classic. Yes, he lost the 3 sentries, but by now they probably kind of lost their biggest value potential, with their force fields being just on point every single time. Classic force fields, they never grow old. One of his best tools for sure. Scan forward, will not see much for GUMIHO. Will kill the observer. It's gonna be it. The Classic is moving out on the left side, trying to take control of the high ground. Went to go on the ramp, and then decided to go for the choke point. The army of GUMIHO not in the best position to blame forward, and it looks like it's going to be a very decisive maneuver by Classic. This War Prism is a little bit in a pickle. The force fields are absolutely amazing from Classic though. The Widowmine shots do not really get the jackpot. These Immortals do not have shield anymore, but they're still fighting for their lives. In the natural, so much is going on. The Widowmines need to recover that shot, but this is exactly when Classic decides to go for a swift maneuver forward. The three Immortals still going at it. The maneuvers of Classic with the War Prism leading into match point. But when I was saying positioning is key, the distances between every single one of your bases in this map is absolutely gargantuan. And controlling this ramp means that your opponent can never get too close, or in a position in which he can get control of your rally point. If your opponent gets over this, he can get control of your rally point very easily if your army is positioned over here. There's a map with maneuvers or very good positioning. There's no in between. Also, there's multiple entrances to get onto the high ground, so it's always complicated to defend over here, while attacking is definitely favored. That's my call at least. It's a very awkward map. It's gonna be a while before we see the full potential. Was it a Marine first? Yes, it was. This is actually surprising. It could be the 4 Marines into straight up mech as soon as you can. But it could also be like some kind of beyond opener. Without even the reactor. Very interesting. Dwala Council going up for Classic. Of course, Blink Stalker's always the best option at this stage. Actually completely walling off the Reaper Cliff. Needing 3 structures for this is kind of brutal, but I guess you can. As long as you don't mess up your rally point on the Stalker, which can be very funny. Bunker going up for GUMIHO, trying to take control of this ramp, but yeah, these Adept, we shield past everything and we'll get a little bit of scouting information. Just not complete the shape. Again, the wool is up. Shade doesn't see much. First Stallion is through. Tech lab next to the factory. Starport soon to be finished. Not really expecting Widow Mines. It's about to be complete on the other side of the map with the blink, of course being the follow-up. It's a Raven in another tech lab next to the factory. From this point onwards, GUMIHO has a wide variety of choices, considering mech player, but of course he's gonna go into Rex. He's gonna try to make something out of these early Marines. Gonna switch. Oh, not even gonna switch even. He's just gonna start tank production as soon as possible. Which makes sense with the Raven to stop the Colossi. Tons of spotting pylons left of the map to try and keep GUMIHO honest. Of course, his location over here is it's just the dream of dead airspace. You're gonna leave your whole Terran base in this corner and it's never gonna be fun. Honestly, half of Tropical Sacrifice is dead airspace. It only, funnily enough, the spots between your bases not being like really dead airspace. Like over here, Blink Stalkers over here and here, just go at it. And like here it's just not enough, and here it's just not enough. On the other side of the map, there's quite a lot of it, especially in these locations, next to the bridges. Steam, combat shields, +1 infantry weapons. Classic is gonna see everything. A single observer, which is gonna be found by GUMIHO, chased down by the Raven, and then sniped. Not the funniest early game we've ever seen, but what can you say? No robotics pay out yet as well. This is quite surprising to me, with Immortals being part of the composition this early on for Classic. Lane Stalkers +1, ground weapons, and charge. Bertosilop running away from the scary single probe. It's gonna drop. I don't know if this is a scouting pylon or if it's there for proxy gateway run by zealots. Maybe something like it. Finally, we see GUMIHO making a move for it. Of course, it's been behind one base for so long. Like, this is the most average standard possible TVP. I would have loved Classic to play a little bit more proactive with his Stalkers, but he didn't make a lot of them, and it's just a bunch of zealots. Gunner shield gets popped, while these tanks are not sieged up. But overall, there's not really a lot of units for Classic, and all of them will be covered in Shadow Dust by the Raven. Immortal will go at it, but will fall down before really batting an eye. Very good kite backwards by GUMIHO will grant him a very good fight. Shots going on top of the Immortal before he can do anything, of course. With armor reduced, GUMIHO will take a beautiful fight. Concussive shells is almost available over here on the bottom. GUMIHO will only find a single pylon with his opponent expanding on the other side. And now another round of warpins was made by Classic, and even though his army is not really that strong, GUMIHO cannot really steam on top of it. Classic is reacting to it, sees the scan. GUMIHO sees the army of Classic moving in position and will decide against committing into it. It's indeed proxy gateway, with zealots going at it over here at the third base of GUMIHO. GUMIHO not really having the best economy for a very long time, with more zealots soon to head up into that corner and probably try a Scantipede. This is the first time we see this creature. The Widowmines will not really get a good shot. He's gonna get a one zealot over here. That's a much better shot. But the zealots are still going at it. They're still going on top of these Marauders. Concussive shells doing a lot of work in here. There's not a single SCV falling down at the Medivacs. Every turn back home. Classic doesn't really have an army at all, and he's moving out. GUMIHO, on the other hand, his army is very scary, with the Raven still being alive, still being ready to drop down an anti-armor missile. We might be going to game number 7. Classic is now blinking in the natural. This might be saving grace, the base trade. But GUMIHO is not really faltering, moving forward with his army, steaming into the natural, and you know what time it is? It's base trade time. The army of GUMIHO is just overall a little bit stronger, and by a little bit, a lot stronger than one of his opponents. It doesn't really look like Classic is gonna recall anything back home. The Immortals are not, well, one of the Immortals is not really healthy. The production of GUMIHO is still strong enough. Back home, the production of Classic is already non-existent, with the probes trying to retreat over here in this location, in the top side. But there's not a lot of things they can do. They can drop down an Nexus and start from there. But Classic is gonna have to work with much less army than his opponent. GUMIHO is gonna lift his structures and collect them closer to his army, while over here, a supply block Classic will be left watching his home production being absolutely annihilated. My call was maybe a little bit too early. We might not be going to game number 7 anytime soon. With Classic still having a good micro potential on his army. Chasing around mostly the orbital commands to prevent the scans. While a few zealots are gonna be left stationed to kill some of the few left structures in the main base of the Terran player. Well, former main base. Over here, of course, these Stalkers are gonna try to stop GUMIHO from getting his production back into the other side of the map. Does look like... yeah, okay, Classic does not commit over the high ground. He knows it's... there's a big possibility to be very, very scary. And now it's just one base against one base with 52 and 59 supply worth of army. Both players saving quite a lot of economy, and especially GUMIHO saving one orbital command, meaning that he can safely drop down mules into business. Oh, over here on the high ground, the Eastboard Prism might be in danger. Another turret will be popped down in the end. Only one zealot will fall, or there's one zealot that will never be replaced. So Classic drops down a forge and start getting +1 ground armor. A very interesting choice. Of course, he's probably not gonna work with anything for a long time, so having shield batteries with enemy dislocation is the best that he can do. While the Warp Prism tries to get something done with just a couple Stalkers. Classic really trying to hunt down the single Warp Prism. He knows it can be extremely deadly. A Dark Shrine being started in the corner. Oh, GUMIHO. You kind of need to see that. It's not like Dark Templars are that scary. Archons are more scary than Dark Templars, to be honest. But... yeah. The Raven out, you can kill the Dark Templars, but... you're pretty much pinned in your own base, and you don't want to be pinned with a better army and with already better production. The Raven will at last find the army of Classic. Lots and lots of Cheeto dust on top of that army as well. The Valents are going down. A steam forward by GUMIHO, trying to make the decisive maneuver happen over here. The Widowmines, of course, stopping everything from happening on the other side. Yes, the Stalkers and Zealots trying to do something, but the army of Classic is definitely not strong enough. Shield Body Overcharge cannot out-heal the damage potential of the army of GUMIHO, and this might very well be GG. We're going on game number 7, guys. I don't see Classic recover from this. Yes, no probes, yes, no army, yes, nothing. And yeah, the Dark Shrine has also been found. Yes, lots of zealots of SCVs will go down, but the army of GUMIHO is just stronger. There's still a Raven with it. There's no way these Dark Templars sneak out a victory for a Classic who doesn't have structures. He only has this. He doesn't have enough minerals to drop down another Nexus. Yeah, he's just Dark Templars, but against the Raven, what can you do? Classic is being revealed. I mean, GUMIHO needs to really mess up to lose this game. There's no way he loses this game. The structures are safe and sound in the skies. No way to attacking these wrecks over here. While the Dark Shrine is kind of vulnerable. And GUMIHO is gonna just immediately go on top of it. Another structure will be cancelled over here. Yeah, and this will be the end of the opponent. Immediately found by GUMIHO. Classic doing its best to stay alive in this game, but honestly just stop out. There's an Archon in the making. But yeah, like a main army fight will never go the way of Classic. And even if it goes its way, like this, all GUMIHO needs to do is just right click on that pylon. He decides to bring the fight to the army, shoot it out of the range Here comes the Interference Matrix on top of the Warp Prism. GG gets called. GUMIHO. It's game number 6. Yeah, the name of Stargazers is just Pocket Natural. Yay! Sky rush distance 5 seconds and a half. Nay. Don't get that base if you don't have anti-air. Just don't. It's gonna be incredibly complicated to deal with Phoenixes, Oracles, Banshees. But GUMIHO has a plan. He's gonna start mining from these. It is especially easy to take for Terran. Because, well, you always have anti-air. It's a little bit rougher for Zerg especially. And somewhat for Terran. For Protoss too. Classic is indeed going to take the standard nature. Feeling more confident in defending this ramp than defending the skies. After that, yeah, this is a very small choke points to hold. This is basically, you can count this as long as ground goes as a second main base, because this is the exact same ramp. Probe's getting some yellow minerals. It's a Stargate indeed from Classic, acknowledging the strength of Skytos on this map. Not gonna see a Total Council anytime soon. Probably triple Oracle it, I guess. Going to be the play out of the Protoss player. On the side of GUMIHO, we haven't seen much mech. We've seen just one mech game and it really didn't end up well. See a much similar opener to the previous game, this time with less Marines, but a Cyclone to stay out for defense out of the Stack Lab. And I'm curious to see what we're going to see next of the starport, out of the starport. See a reactor next to the Rex. Reaper make its way into the main. Will not get much going, aside from some pretty decent scouting information. You see the target? Yes, it did. There's a gateway coming over here as well. Oh yeah, it will just trap itself in a pocket. Yeah, that's not where you want to be. Pulsar beam gets activated. Oh, that's what we have to deal with, huh? Well, it's battle cruisers against early Skytos, with Phoenix being the second unit out of the Stargate. The Oracle will get locked on by the Cyclone and will fly back into safety out of range. Well, out of vision, most likely. Ghost Tower is under control of Classic, but yeah, GUMIHO is getting his fusion core, is ready to get some more stuff going. Here comes the lift onto the Cyclone, and over here in the natural, as I was saying, this is a very vulnerable spot if you don't have consistent anti-air, and one single Cyclone is not consistent anti-air. 5 SCVs will go down before the first cruiser will be through in the skies. There's one tank incoming. Unsure GUMIHO wants to transition into mech out of that, because otherwise, well, not into mech, into bio out of that, otherwise I don't really see a good reason for that. It's defensive, I guess. Weapon refit to get Yamato cannon for these battle cruisers. A more iconic ability in StarCraft. I dare you. Classic is gonna try to keep as much map control as possible with Blink. On its way back home, it will soon have a decent way to react to the first cruiser, but he's completely unaware that this is going to happen. And this cruiser will just tactical jump the other side of the map. Here it comes, still out of sight of Classic, and surprise! It's me, who called in the fleet, and there's absolutely no answer to this for Classic. GUMIHO saving the best for last. This button is so important. The Soldiers are making their way. Blink is about to be finished, but not before this one pylon goes down and uncovers so many structures at once. Blink is finished, but this one cruiser will go exactly where it needs to be to stay alive. Here comes a revelation to keep track of this cruiser, but the damage has already been significant. Second cruiser is about to come with Yamato Cannon, aka weapon refit, soon to be available. Tons of things left around by Classic to gain at least a little bit of a scouting information on the map. Losing map control very fast now that battle cruisers are on the field. Well, in the skies, to be more precise. There's one proxy pylon in a very scary location, by the way. I would love to see a gateway over here. Yamato Cannon is available, and it's not on cooldown, as you can see. So maybe we'll see this cruiser turn around and drop one. Well, not really. As you can see, lots and lots of dead airspace over here. Cruiser will tactical jump through. The other one, of course, the first one. And it's time for the Yamato Cannons, I feel. Here they go, one Yamato Cannon going on top of the Phoenix. The Stalkers will blink out of that, but yeah, Yamato Cannon is an endless range. You can move how much you want, you're never gonna dodge it. To blame forward though, and this cruiser is suddenly in a world of danger. Not enough danger to kill it though. And it looks like GUMIHO is consistently lowering both the economy and the army of Classic. Not enough, with lots of zealots and stalkers ready to make their play through the map. The Oracle over here will stop GUMIHO from taking control of his natural, and while more and more tanks and more cyclones are going to be added into the mix, the Oracle will finally go down. Cyclone, lock-on, and a scan. So will this Stasis Word. But it's time for Classic to go for a swift maneuver himself. He knows his opponent doesn't really have the strongest army now. He knows his opponent doesn't have the strongest upgrades now. GUMIHO moving out right now to take control of the low ground. One single marine will proc the Stasis Word. The Stasis Trap over here. 3 cruisers going on to these Nexus. Classic will lean forward. Here a tactical jump backwards will save that one single battle cruiser. But here comes the move forward by Classic as well. He doesn't have high ground vision, and that's incredibly bad against these many tanks. Over here, more stalkers are gonna be made, and of course, lean forward into the cruisers to keep them at bay. But in the end, Yamato Cannon never misses. Oh, actually one cruiser died? No, it didn't. A 4th one is through. This cruiser over here probably waiting for tactical jump to fly back into safety. Well, jump back into safety. While another cruiser is jumping into the main. Very undefended over here. Probably worth of another warping. Counts 4 stalkers, but many probes are going to die. But this is a little bit of a positional mistake by Classic. Always needs to stay aware of these cruisers. Ready to move around. Yamato Cannon is available and will be popped by the cruiser. One of these stalkers. No way to get into range, it seems. The cruiser is trying to fly back into safety. Will it be intercepted by Classic? I think it will. Oh, yeah, he needs a tactical jump out of there immediately. It does so. And the cruiser is still alive. Classic does not manage to break through, and now GUMIHO has a much stronger defensive position. He's a heavy gateway style from the Protoss player, and he's not really having a strong economy. Over here, another strong maneuver. The Zealots are moving forward into a million tanks and Hellbots with Blue Flame, and you can see that Hellbots and the tanks alike making short work of whatever they find on their way. One of these cruisers will also stay alive after tactical jumping out of range. More and more Zealots joining the fight. So many SCVs going down, but the cruisers are still alive, and that's the most important part of this. One of the cruisers is very close to dying, and it will indeed go down. It's still 4 battle cruisers, and one of them, I think 2 of them actually, do have tactical jump available. Classic, much better economy, but his army composition is not the best. It's just stalkers and zealots. GUMIHO doesn't really have a lot itself though. He has the 3 tanks in a very good position, but his natural is so hard to control. These battle cruisers are trying to be repaired, but they're so pricey. While Classic is easily replacing whatever he lost, plus 3 ground weapons incoming. while GUMIHO is just now getting +1/+1. And here comes another rally of units. A beautiful blame forward, trying to focus down these tanks ASAP, but the tank shells are doing short work of whatever they find on their way. GUMIHO playing this like he's a campaign mission. The Zealots trying to get on top of the tanks will fall, most of them. Only one tank staying alive, and Classic is ready for another full warping, another full send forward. Is this going to be the last? There's still 4 cruisers and a tank. It looks like the orbital command was the first target of the volley. I don't know about that. Now it's time for the cruisers. Tactical jump away saves its life. Another cruiser will not have the tactical jump to fly back into safety. Classic is bleeding a little bit too much out of this. He's not really waiting for his like sweet spot of units. He wants to keep up the pressure. He wants to kill every single key unit that he can. Tanks, battlecruiser, whatever he finds, it's good for him as long as he keeps control of the map. Right now he doesn't really have an army anymore. So does GUMIHO, but he has 3 cruisers to just fly around the map. Of course, taking this base will mean that Classic will have a much better explosion of gateways. And I want to see it right now, because his economy is looking much better than the one of GUMIHO. Another blame forward, this time the cruisers are the target. Tactical jump is available, but it's not needed. And in the end, Classic will get only 3 SCVs with this, I don't know, 10th move forward. Plus 3 ground weapons is ready to be finished. Very close, mere seconds away. Here comes the charge of the Zealots, trying to get on top of the Albats, trying to get on top of the tanks. More and more tanks are gonna be stationed over here at this natural. There's still 3 battle cruisers. The Classic is taking his 6th base of this game, and he has control of the single golden. Ground weapons 3 is finished. The plane forward over here in the natural of GUMIHO. This might be game ending, by the way. This could be devastating damage. Another plane forward. So many SCVs are in danger. It's time for the cruisers to get into business, but they're in danger as well. It does look like these stalkers are gonna be recalled out of harm's way. And not before another rally of Zealots tries to get into business. GUMIHO moves some aliens forward, but he doesn't know that these stalkers were not the full might of Classic. Classic is trying to starve GUMIHO to death. He's doing quite a decent job at it, but these battlecruisers will definitely not forgive any mistake from the Protoss player. What an amazing game number 7 we're having so far. A scan forward by GUMIHO, trying to deal as much damage as possible with these cruisers over here. The aliens will definitely not break down the proxy location. Stalkers blinking left and right to stay on top of the cruisers, which will drop Yamada cannons, and will definitely have to blink tactical jump back to safety. One of them falls, and that's not a loss you can take. Over here, the 4 aliens will kill 10 probes in this base over here. A warping will probably keep this golden base safe and kill the Cyclones while they're at it. Flying forward, and Classic makes short work of the few aliens stranded away from GUMIHO. Full gateway style from Classic, taking his 7th base, having full control of the map, while GUMIHO is barely keeping a hold of 3 bases. Here the Stalkers are ready to blame forward again, just under the shells of this one tank. The wall has been broken, and Classic will blink out of it to stay safe. Now that GUMIHO is protecting that base a little bit more, maybe the natural is vulnerable. The answer is no. There's still a huge choke point, and there's 5 tanks defending it. Classic is close to be maxed out. He's adding a Dark Shrine to the mix, as well as a 2nd Stargate for a later transition. But he wants to keep the aggression up and ongoing. Here comes a War Prism over here, while in the natural, a bit blame forward happens and the orbital command goes down. So many SCVs are dying. Meanwhile over here, without even a warping, these 4 Zealots are absolutely annihilating the economy of GUMIHO, who has 1/3 of the workers of his opponent. And that's definitely the moment in which you tap out. Classic starves out GUMIHO and gains the victory. 4-3 in this best of 7 series.